approach. Where's the energy? Thank you. That's more like it. That's more like it. Welcome to the Center for Creative Arts. We are the hub of all leading festivals in South Africa, the country itself, as well as internationally. Whoop, whoop. My name is Nomthandazo Shandu, and I'm one of the emerging arts managers at the Center for Creative Arts. So I'm just going to welcome Tomaselli, who is going to introduce us to the center. But just a bit about the center, we have 7 festivals. So just out of curiosity, do you guys know about the Center for Creative Arts?
Yes.
Do we know all the 7 festivals? Or we like, no, there's just 1, 2? We all know about it. Yeah, I get it's fine because Tomaselli will be telling us all about it. Can we please clap our hands as he comes forward?
Hi, everyone. My name is Sakile. I work at the Center for Creative Arts as... is this fine? Yeah? Oh, where should I stand?
Right in front of me.
Okay. I work as a project manager at the Center for Creative Arts, and we basically have 7 festivals, but there's mainly 4 festivals that everybody might be familiar with, and that is Time of the Writer, which is a literature festival. It happens in March. In July, we have the Durban Film Festival, which is the biggest festival that we organize as the Center for Creative Arts. In August, we do Jomba Contemporary Dance. And we just did our last festival for the year, which is Poetry Africa, which happens in October. And then we have other events that we do throughout the year. We just, there's actually about 5 of us in the office with a group of arts managers that have joined us, all women, about 10 of them. They are actually responsible for all the projects that you see at the Center for Creative Arts. There's also Noluvuyo behind who is working, with the DIV team. She's been here for a few months and she'll be here with us next year as well. So it's quite a very close team that is bringing these festivals together and working to make sure that we put the Center for Creative Arts, in the map in terms of the arts. The Center for Creative Arts is located in the School of Arts at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and we report in terms of that department. So today is one of those events that we put together to obviously make sure that there's something happening in the arts. We do book launches, we do several projects. We just went to Brazil with Noluvuyo a few months ago with 2 of our students from UKZN, as well as 1 student from AFTA to showcase basically their films and also engage our partners in Brazil. And so those are kind of projects that we engage with, obviously through our many funders and sponsors. I'm glad some of our funder is here, the KZN Film Commission that we've worked with for so many years. So yeah, we're quite happy to be joined by Dr. Bebe from that organization, because we work quite closely with, and without them, we wouldn't be able to put these projects together. So on behalf of UKZN, the Center for Creative Arts, I welcome everyone. Just before I go, I would also just like to take the opportunity to thank the University of Pretoria. They are joining us online. So part of what we're trying to do is to actually establish a relationship with other universities, because the future of this industry is collaboration. And so it's very important that we don't work in isolation. We collaborate with other universities. And so, they were very keen. As soon as I wrote the email to them, they were very keen. They said, oh, please give us the link. We want to join. We want to participate. And that's basically where we are going as the Center for Creative Arts. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate your presence. Thank you.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the launch of Cut to the Chase by Jennifer Eeden and Richard Green in South African Film by Richard Green. And big thank you to the CCA for hosting
thank
us
you.
today.
Thanks, Akila. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, so in
Thanks
addition...
everybody for coming. A lot of students, which is great.
Yeah, thank you guys. That's great.
And my mother-in-law.
And Richard's mom-in-law.
And Dr. Baby.
And promise.
Okay, are we done here? Okay, so in addition to asking them questions, just remember that I had to actually introduce these guys, and introducing one of them takes long enough. So the two of them together is just a nightmare. So I'm going to keep it short. So Janet van Eeden is a prolific writer in journalism, film, theater, and has maintained a reputation as a trusted script evaluator for the KZN Film Commission and the Durban Film Office, among other organizations. She is celebrated for the quality as well as the sheer quantity of her work. She is the winner of a number of awards, a few of which are the Vodacom Journalist of the Year, the Writers Guild of South Africa's Muse Award, and several SAFTAs, notably for her film White Lion, which released to international audiences in 2010. This is in addition to multiple nominations as well as festival selections. In roles of prestige, she has served as the overall chairperson of the Simon Sabella Awards and as a supervising juror at DIF, which we all know, and as judge for the South African contenders at the International Oscar Awards. She holds a PhD in English Studies and currently acts as Dean of the School of Motion Picture. Richard. Yeah, okay, I've got to confess, I sort of stared at a blank document for a long time coming up with this, because you just don't even know where to begin. Richard is a senior authority on movie making, as well as in the most thorough sense a true student of movie making. It is unlikely that someone wins a Lifetime Achievement Award unless their very soul has been changed by the field to which they contribute, and Richard has won 2 of these, on 2 separate occasions from 2 different festivals. His slate filmography goes, but many of us might know Walk to Freedom, District 9, Spud, Attilo Burning, Red Dust. This is just 5 films out of... Richard knows the number of how many movies he's made. I don't think very many people do otherwise. Others of us know him for his transformative and restorative work in undertakings such as the New Directions project for Mnet, which produced important and acclaimed content, giving emerging filmmakers an opportunity in a time and a regime where very few opportunities were afforded, and for his participation as a founder of Filmmakers Against Racism in response to the xenophobic attacks in 2008. In all things related to film, Richard helped shape the nation. He continues to build upon this principle in his career as a college educator, as the head of producing at After School of Motion Picture, which he was awarded his Master of Fine Arts in the late 2010s. When speaking about passion and enthusiasm, it's often said that we keep what we have by giving it away. And I think that Richard's career as an educator and his ongoing slate have something to do with one another as far as that was concerned. So let's go into the questions. I believe...
Thanks, Al.
You're welcome.
Can I just have a quick disclaimer here?
Sure.
The reason Richard and I
Oh, yeah,
dress
sure.
like this is that our students reps, no, but our student
We're on
reps
the
on our
bench.
campus said yesterday they made a call that everyone has to wear green and gold or a Springbok jersey today. So I literally went to my neighbors because I don't have one, and I borrowed one. I tried on 2, borrowed 1, and Richard's got his own. And
We're the only 2 on
we're
the
the only
campus.
2 on campus. Well, there's about three students wearing a jersey, but that's why we dress like this, just to say.
It's very awkward. And it's very funny. I'm glad that it turned out this way.
You just need a castle
think it's quite a
lager
gift.
each, and then we find.
Okay, so I want to address there's some history between the two of you resulting in a joined book launch. Could we talk about that a bit to any one of you?
Sure, go, Janet. Ladies first.
Richard, you speak. I think you
Okay,
have.
yeah, sure. Janet and I basically met 10, 11 years ago when AFTA started down in Durban, and we basically set up the campus, and here we are 11 years later, became good friends. We share our love of film. We enjoy what we teaching, as Al was saying, passing on knowledge is very important for both of us, and especially myself. I think I want to be part of the young dreams of young South African filmmakers, and it keeps me alive. And so that's how we came together. And in terms of the book, I was asked to do my master's by AFTA, and then had Janet to bounce off all the time, because I'm not an academic. I don't pretend to be an academic. I think I'm getting there. Janet introduced me to Jung when I made Tokolosh, The Calling.
I had to find something.
Yeah. And, I just had faith that I'd actually get my master's, which I didn't. It took me about 5 years. But based on my master's, I then worked with Keyan Tomaselli, Dr. Professor, who was at his university for years. And he talked me through and got us through it. And then we got talking. Sorry, this is not about you and me. Should I carry on? No. Very quickly. We got talking about his as an academic and me as a practitioner. And then so we thought, let's share that kind of knowledge and see how we can feed that back into young filmmakers, as in a book like this. So I was practice-led and he was academic, and we had circled each other and we knew each other. We were the same kind of age, so it made sense. Yeah, so we've launched this book.
I just have to say our relationship started long before 10
Oh, this
years
is
ago, because I was trying to get funding for a film which I wrote in about 2003. I pitched it at Satengi and people loved it. It's called A Shot at the Big Time, about my brother who committed suicide on the border. And I literally went to Richard Green in Braamfontein in Johannesburg. I'm not too sure which year it was, with a friend of mine who was a producer, Jill Kruger, and we met him and his team upstairs in a little room in Braamfontein, and she pitched it to him, and I was in the state of trying to change the script, and I'd messed it up, actually. So I didn't do a very good pitch, but he rejected it, okay? He did not remember this ever when I met him. And secondly, when it came to New Directions, I submitted a script to New Directions, which was extremely good. And Richard Green rejected it again and did not remember it. So, yeah, thanks, Richard. Thanks a lot.
No, I didn't actually.
Didn't remember me, didn't remember any of it. So it's
was
all
all a blur.
fine. Don't hold grudges.
So it's a history of rejection.
Totally.
But now I work for her.
I'm his boss, hey? I'm his
Okay.
boss now. Boy, and I give him a hard time.
Okay, so it's rejection and redemption. man.
Redemption.
Like power shifts. Okay. Scandalous. Okay, just on the beginning of your careers, I mean, just a little bit on that, like whatever you'd like to say. So how did it start? What made it begin? The love and the passion for it? Yeah. Okay, Richard.
When I was at school, I used to sell ice creams at the cinema. And I had I'll never forget this, like a little wooden tray on my shoulders. Oh, cigarettes, sorry. I had all the cigarettes back. We're going back 40 years now in the Strand in the Cape. And I'd have to stay right until the end of the films, and I saw all these credits going up, I used to watch it, and they're mostly Afrikaans films in those days, and I didn't understand them. But I just saw these credits, and I thought to myself, one day, I'm going to have the biggest flipping credit up there. So that kind of motivated me to get into film. I played around a bit. I actually joined Sea Fisheries. I became something to do with seaweed, where that went off. And then I left that. Went to Stellenbosch University, got chucked out of there, so left the country, went to England, went to film school in London, and then came back. Really passionate to make South African cinema, make South African films. And then just grew with the industry. See in the book, our industry back then, I'm going back 30, 40 years, no, maybe 35 years ago, there were a lot of American B-grade movies coming into South Africa, classics like American Ninja 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Rubbish.
Kill and kill again, and kill this and shoot this and blow this up, and whatever you can find. It's made somewhere in Africa, because nobody's allowed in South Africa, none of the actors were, because of the embargo. But we learnt our craft through making those films, as an assistant director, even as a gripper gaffer, and gradually learnt our craft so that we could then, years later, start to make our own films, which is when I got into New Directions, which was, Mnet approached me. I'd worked with Nadine Gordimer on Cry a Little Bit, no, not Cry a Little Bit, I'll think of it now. So, no. And done a few short films with her, which then were sold internationally. So Mnet approached me to kind of try and negotiate, as we say, this kind of transition into a new South Africa, telling new stories, approach different people, and gradually And as Deb's my wife is here today, we often laugh about the scripts that we got. We got piles and piles. We called for scripts. Emily called for scripts. We wanted to find some short stories, and we got piles of these scripts. And then I would say 80% of them were ninja pictures because people had grown up on South African television watching ninja. And one of my first films, Taxi to Soweto, which I premiered in Soweto, people walked past to watch a ninja film. So it was then also audience, working audiences and audience expectation, which is gradually turning around. So, and then we grew with that. We made 30 short films and a couple of feature films, and then I moved on to make other films. Along the way, I started Moonlighting Films, which is a big service company in Cape Town, one of the biggest service companies. And about 2 years in, I said to my partner, Philip, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to tell my own stories. And basically, he wanted to make money. I want to make films. So that's what happened. He made money, and I made films. So and diverse films. It's only later on that I could get to choose the kind of stories that I wanted to make and go and find the kind of stories. And worked with John Carney, for instance, became a good friend, and we made Nothing But the Truth together. Tomaselli, Pakati, and a whole bunch of guys that we've worked very closely over the years. So. And now, looking back, as I said to you earlier, I'm so happy I had a whole bunch of students here because I don't have to keep looking back. I can look forward to your stories, to your dreams, etc. And we're gradually finding that voice. And there's not one voice, that's for sure. We're very diverse, as we know, so we've all got different voices. And we were talking about African cinema just recently. I was up at Tut, and it's African cinemas because Africa is obviously not a country. It's many different voices and different Francophone Africa, where I've been a lot and spent some time up there touring Africa, making films around Africa. And they're very different stories that we have to tell. So in a nutshell.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking about the different stories. It makes me think of when I did this big launch in 2002 at Satengi with all the cameras and everyone saying, oh, you're going to make your first film. Yay, fantastic. I was asked then, what is a South African film? And I said to them, a South African film is any film that comes from someone writing with an authentic voice, and I still believe that. And that will be different cultures, different colors, different stories. And as long as the voice is authentic, that is a South African film. I still believe that, so I just wanted to pick up from that. And how did I start writing? By mistake, very much by mistake. I was literally studying drama at university. Good drama students here all over. And my life was kind of arrested because my brother committed suicide on the border because he didn't want to fight in that border war. I was 20. I went back and buried him. Nobody else was strong enough. I flew back and then thought, 3 months later, I suddenly thought, my brother's gone. I fell apart. And for about 7 years, I had no idea what I was doing. I fell into a teaching job by mistake because I was so lost. I literally was broken. My brother had been my idol. I'd loved him more than I loved myself. I'd literally only done what he did. He was my hero. He played in a band, and my life didn't matter. I lived through him. So it took more than 7 years for me to actually, I met my husband, Richard, also Richard. It's confusing at work. Richard, my husband, Richard Green. My Richard and Richard Green. I met my husband, and I think when I knew I had to have children. It was something deep inside me. I knew that it would heal me. So I had my children. It's a bit of a long run, sorry. I tell stories, what can I say? So I had my children, and I had found my meaning in life again. They literally gave me a reason to live. And we went to Wales because we went to England because my husband was British and he promised his mother on the deathbed that he will go back to Britain and leave this God-forsaken country, which I hated the idea of. I did not want to go back. My second brother had just been killed, and I was leaving my mum, taking my her grandchildren, going overseas, and she just lost her second and only other son. And I was the last remaining person, and I said, I don't want to go. But he made the promise, and I thought, well, I can't either divorce him or I go. So I went. It was the best thing I could have done. I fell into a job again, teaching drama at Cardiff School in Llandaff, where Roald Dahl, if anyone knows Roald Dahl, was born. Beautiful place, beautiful buildings, beautiful students, so accomplished. I felt stupid, terrifying. Even the 12-year-olds could play 6 instruments. Anyway, to cut a long story short, my job was to take them to see plays in London and Stratford once a month. damn hard job, but someone had to do it. So I used to take them to plays, and that was the best thing in the world for my writing. It sounds bizarre. I'd never thought I was good enough. I'd started all sorts of plays and started all sorts of writings. I thought, well, I'm not good enough. I'm just not good enough. I went to see a play with my heroes at the time, heroine, Glenda Jackson, and Nigel Hawthorne, yes, Minister Nigel Hawthorne, who's from South Africa. I was in awe of their talent, and the play was complete shit. It was rubbish. And I thought to myself, this play's got no meaning. What's the point of this play? So I actually sat and thought, I can write better than that. For the first time in my life, I thought, and I saw a lot of plays. I saw all the Stratfords, all the Shakespeares. I thought, no, they're doing it wrong. That's not the way you should. Ariel would never spit at Prospero's face. How can you do this? Are you? I suddenly realized I had very strong views and very strong opinions, and I was sure I could write better than those people. And this is the West End of London. And then just before I left Britain, because my mom was heartbroken and my husband was made redundant twice, and the day my daughter was born, he lost his job, and it was not great. We came back, and also my mom, I couldn't bear saying goodbye to my mom at airports, just couldn't. It was just too horrendous. And we came back, and just before I left, I had a dream. This is what the point is I'm getting to. That I had to write screenplays, and Richard E. Grant was in this dream, and I thought, don't be ridiculous. I don't even know what a screenplay looks like. But to cut a long story short, the universe, if I can put it in a big name, shoved this into my face for the next few years until I started writing screenplays. I kept thinking, no, I can't do this, I can't do this. And then Richard E. Grant would be on a radio show or would be on a television show. And I'd say, okay, if I write to Richard E. Grant and he answers me, I'll then write the screenplay. I wrote to him personally saying, I know everything. I had this dream about us in a film, about a husband and a wife losing their first child, and I know everything about bereavement, I must write this film, and he didn't write back. I'm surprised. But then I saw a book review about his first book, which was talking about the loss of his first child, and I thought, oh, he thinks I'm jumping on the bandwagon. So I wrote back saying, Richard, I'm so sorry. I was so arrogant. I'm so stupid. I did not know about your child. I'm so sorry. And he wrote a really sweet letter back and said, send me your screenplay. I'll read it. And I thought, oh, shit. I have to do this now. And I did. And it took incredibly long way. 9 years before White Line was actually made. And I hadn't got any paying work until at the end.
Thank you. Okay, the two of you have successfully answered like 4 other questions, leaving me with like 1 more. It's a big one, though. No, not really. Okay, so there are people with experience, and then there are people with experience that like write a book about that experience. I just want to know, and this is just because I'm close to the both of you, and I mean, we've known each other for a long time. You've always had this incredible experience, and you've been working in the educational space for a while. But I want to know, so like how when you write a book like the books that you've written, and so it's about personal transformation, relating to things that are happening outside, and then relating to other theories that you're discussing in the books. So it's just as autobiographical as it is like theoretical, So it's about the changes that occur in you. I'm just wondering what sort of change occurs in the process of now putting out a book, like making a book, because there's reflection in that, there's this weird, like, sorry for the bad pun, like new chapter kind of. Yeah, just from going from who has experience to experience with a book, now has a book. People don't just write a book and then call it quits there, they write another book. So is there a sort of sense of responsibility there?
Okay. What was the question? Yeah, it's. I have to say a lot of credit, obviously, to Keyan Tomaselli, the co-author of the book, who drove the process. I'm not necessarily a natural writer. I make movies. I don't write movies. Janet writes movies. But what did happen was, as you say, it got very reflective. I looked back because Keyan said to me, look, just put it out there. From the day you arrived in South Africa or the day you did this, just put it all out there. And so I did. I just wrote down all these memories, and then we started to make sense of it. We started to percolate it. I started to put them in order because the whole point he felt was what had informed me to make the decisions I made and the type of films I made and the kind of stories I was attracted to. And so I don't have a big push to write another book, to be honest. I'm a big push to make another movie, sure. But there is a whole bunch of stuff that obviously is not in the book.
There is another book. It's the Marnie book.
The Marnie book, yeah. Thank you for that, Janet. Yeah, Marnie van Rensburg, any of you filmmakers, I'm sure you know of him. Marnie and I worked together very, very closely. He was a South African Afrikaner. He got ostracized by the Afrikaners because he went to Gore Island to meet with the ANC in exile. And we made a lot of films together, got very, very close. And I think there is a book there because he was just the most incredible man, had an amazing influence on my life. And unfortunately, he took his own life a couple of days after I'd been to see him. So yeah, there's possibly, I think that story needs to be told more about Marnie, particularly for young filmmakers, because he loved this country, he loved his people, but he also understood. Yeah, he was just so committed. And I've worked with Oscar-winning filmmakers from all directors, producers, cinematographers, but that man could tell a story in a film.
Thank you.
What the book? What I feel like with the book. Now, I was telling my wonderful Londi and the other drama students in the front row just now, I wrote this book 11 years ago for my UKZN Pietermaritzburg drama students because there was no curriculum and they asked me to teach screenwriting there. So I wrote it then and I couldn't get it published for 10 years, 12 years, 13 years. Where are we now? 2011 and now. So 12 years. And I literally just reworked it because I knew something made me say that I have to publish this book because with my PhD I came up with a new theory called the fractal theory, but it's based on this bottom line structure that I wrote. I had to write it and I came up with a new sort of template which is in the book and it's incredibly useful. I'm not just selling the book now, but seriously people, you need this template. It's a hero's journey with all the other terms, the terminology ever used in screenwriting, because they try and confuse you by coming, oh, it's not, it's the first explosion. That sounds familiar. It was like trying to confuse the actual writers. And when I first started, I hadn't read any books about writing because I believed I was naturally gifted from the universe and by God, and therefore I didn't need to read a book ever. So I wrote loads. The first script I sent to Richie Grant, bless him forever, it was over 300 pages. And it was a load of rubbish. And it was everyone's thoughts were on the page. They were all talking like dialogue, like you talk to your mother on the phone or whatever. And he sent it back very kindly, a short postcard saying, your script needs to be between 90 and 110 pages. Be brutal, cut, good luck. And I thought, sure. So I literally learned how to do the right thing by making all the mistakes in the book. And what I want to do now, it's nice to have the book because I've known all this stuff for a long time. And writing a book makes everybody say, oh, look at them, they know something. Like I'm sure, Richard, you feel that. Oh, look at Richard, he's changed the face of filmmaking. Yes, but he did that long ago. Now it's just that you are aware of it, people. And like with me, I've known how to write. My colleagues in AFTA all going, oh my goodness, do you know something about screenwriting? I've been trying to tell you that for 10 years, people. So that's a nice feeling.
Cool, great, thank you. Okay, this one's for Richard. So what I want to know is, how do you, so is there kind of like observable lineage down from New Directions as a project? Like how do you see New Directions and what it did, so the spirit of it? I mean, it gave emerging filmmakers a chance.
No, most definitely.
Yeah.
There's some amazing directors and producers out there that came through the New Directions process who got an opportunity to make their first films. But as importantly, as I said earlier, we were starting to find a voice along the way. And Khulisa Sitoli, for instance, who became a great friend, came through the process, and she's won a couple of Peabodys. She's a documentary filmmaker. She came through the process. And as I said, Tomaselli Bukati, Dumisani and Bongiwe Esolani. But Dumisani Bukati, I must just tell you a quick story. He's a great talent. We made 3 short films together, and his first film he made with me, he won 6 Avanti Awards. It was his very first film. He'd never made a film before. And he was just an incredibly talented guy. And years later, I was asked to contact him to make a film called Red Dust. And I sent him the script, and Anand Singh sent it to me, and sent it to Dumi, and I said to Dumi, give me a director's treatment, and he, nothing. He got hold of me and said, what's going on? Dumi, come on, man, give me something. And he wrote back, he said, I didn't like what Bishop Tutu said at the end of the script. That was his director's treatment. Cut a long story short, along comes a British director who had done a director's treatment, who had studied the book, who had done a whole bunch of homework, came over, made the film, I'm trying to think of his name, Tom Hooper, made Red Dust, went on then to win an Oscar. And I still do me, whenever I see Dumi, I give him a slack around the head. This was an amazing experience. We had Oscar-winning actresses on it who wanted to be part of the new South African story. So yes, there is a strong linkage there. And unfortunately, short films, as you know, are a knocking calling card to make longer films. But they're very difficult to finance because they don't make their money back. So it's got to be, a big broadcaster perhaps doing that. But it's a pity that we're not doing it, to be quite frank. But yes, there's a lot of filmmakers out there that came through the process.
Yeah, great, thank you. Richard, I know one of your favorite things to speak about is genre. Whenever we catch each other in the corridor, we're talking about genre. And in the book there are and you just sort of spoke about one now, it's a pretty funny observation that, so these sort of like martial arts films, like kung fu films were so celebrated in these eras and areas. So what other observations have you made kind of like about South Africa's relationship with genre?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I was, as I say, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about African cinemas, and people's lived experiences, and those lived experiences are changing rapidly. People want to put us in a hut or something out there, and we're changing. South Africa's changing. So in terms of genre, I think the genre appreciation is changing. I think the most popular genre at the moment is comedy, because it's so rough out there that we want to smile. The Afrikaners have found real niche. Their escapism films, music and love on a train and kind of stuff. I don't want to be dismissive of them because they've done very well. So yeah, genre changing. I don't have a particular genre. I think for a while I made, if you like, anti-apartheid films, kind of things. Films that I wanted to tell South African stories, South African genres, nothing but the truth particularly. A whole bunch of those kind of films. Tillo Burning, I don't know if you've ever seen it. Tillo Burning, we shot that down, we shot Coast to the true story, which is based in the one coast where this amazing man's kid took his history of the street in contact and people being fighting with we took him off the streets and now I wasn't reading so those kinds of stuff. So genre specific. I went really off the rail with Young and Rand, with Young and the court. But there was a strong reason for that. The genre, but it was a three actors in one location. And we had no money. So that determined that. But I had fun. A whole lot of genres are real genres. It's a lot of fun. To be honest. So no particular.
Cool, thanks. Okay, so these books, you say like the long and short of it is filmmakers communicating, and everything that you've spoken about it's spiritual and it's smart and it's not like what you guys pick up through films. It's changed you greatly. I want to know is that do you still get that? Do you watch movies? So I mean movies that are coming out, are they saying the same things? Are they saying the same seriousness, the same power that you guys, it made you commit yourselves to it.
I sent you should honestly we worked on a picture called The Professional. What was the actor's name? Brendan Fraser, and I was on that, and when about 2 years later, he made the whale. He seemed most incredible, thought-provoking, really going. So yes, international films, local films. I think so. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I was part of the Oscar selection panels. I got to see from last year, very strong contenders in there. All of them trying to find different categories. And the one film, and I said this before, I would choose myself because a film is Skip 8, which is an Afrikaans film about drag artists. It was very controversial. And part of the panel was going, oh, this is film, what are you talking about? This is a South African film. It's not necessarily your South African, it's a filmmaker's South African film. So we didn't send a film for Oscars. It's this is censorship. Be very careful. Obviously, we have to the stories. We have to tell them carefully. Let's not censor each other. The kind of stories that we should. We can all tell our own stories.
Yeah. I was going to say. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked in my own head. I love the way it was exquisitely well made as well. I also think that Red Dust is one of the films. I think Red Dust is an incredible story. With Hilary Swank, if you haven't seen it, it's also an incredible piece of work. But I'm trying to think of my favourite films. I think we are in a bit of an identity crisis. Our dear friend Richard knows that I love Pongi. I love Pongi. 2003, where Salani, who is the producer of the four-letter word ever after. And they're lovely. They're fun with a good laugh. And as supportive for it, aspiration. We don't know people no longer want to be poverty-stricken and face, because it's a bit boring, and it's a bit stereotyping and rude, because this isn't our average in South Africa. So I applauded for that. But for me, one of the films that I really loved was at Dev. It's about 3 or 4 years old. And that was hard to get. So hard to get. It was hardcore gangster from that genre. Hardcore gangster. Did you see it? I thought it was exceptionally good. And it was really gritty. It was totally South African. She was like two like Bonnie and Clyde. It was incredibly. That was one of the last films that I got really something critics. And also like them because they're dealing very real issues like the hijacked buildings in Joburg. I'm just recently building down. So they're dealing with real harsh issues, and although it's not aspirational, it's incredibly authentic, and that's what I look for.